everyone, and welcome back to Possessed Radio. And as always, I'm your host, Steven, and today I'd like to share with you the true story of the paranormal experience at my childhood home. A story about paranoid residents, forgotten victims, and the power of small-town rumors. And I hope you enjoy. More scary content is on the way. So thanks again for listening. Take care, and as always, keep the lights off. I was 10 when a family situation forced us to move from our gorgeous home in the country. My parents searched for a little over a month in our town for a house, but this new home would be located right in the suburbs. It would be a downgrade in terms of size and unique build, but it wasn't too big a deal to me. I'd be in the same school district, and even though we'd have neighbors now, our town had virtually no crime. It was a small, rural Michigan town where nothing ever happened. As I played outside in the yard of our prospective home in early October, my parents worked inside with a local realtor. They seemed interested in the place, so I let them do their thing while I bounced a ball off the garage door. It was a simple suburban home. It was built the same as the neighbor's home on either side, except for slight differences in paint color, or possibly a mirrored interior. I was content just to live down the road from the ballpark. While I played, the neighbor from next door came forward to me. He was probably in his late 20s, and he had a smirk on his face. He told me he lived next door his whole life, and that people didn't buy this house because it was haunted. Somebody got killed inside. I was 10, but I wasn't dumb, nor was I afraid of ghosts. I told him I was sure he was right, and promptly ignored him. My parents would sign off on the home in the coming weeks, and we moved in on November 1st. The move was uneventful, and I even got familiar with the area the night before during Halloween. The only real nightmare was cleaning the disgusting basement. Truth be told, I was happy, and never gave a second thought to what the man said. A few years later, when I was in middle school, my science teacher stopped me to say that he saw me walking my dog the previous night. Apparently, he grew up in my house, and his parents currently lived around the corner from me after moving back to Michigan from Florida. And unexpectedly, he asked me if anything strange had ever happened. I told him no, and he said that strange things happened to him, especially since the previous owner had been murdered. Mind you, the man was a gentle giant and a notorious trickster. I wrote it off as nothing and continued my life. My mother was curious, though, and asked around. We were shocked to find out that a woman she worked with agreed with the murder. Apparently, her nephew had been shot in the garage back in the 70s. Her husband found his body when he stopped by for their carpool to work. I'm not sure if it was due to the stories or actual occurrences, but strange things had begun to occur. The creaks of a 50-year-old house were nothing of concern to me, but the light in the bathroom was. My parents' room was downstairs. Mine was across the hall upstairs from the bathroom. I woke one morning to see that the light was on, and the bathroom door was closed. I don't mean partially. I mean fully closed against the tough old latch. I could believe that I forgot to shut a light off in the middle of the night, but not that I put conscious effort into slamming the old door shut in the shoddy wooden frame. Since I was a logical person, and I had an endless curiosity, I set up an experiment. My parents had left me home alone for the weekend on their anniversary, and I knew I wouldn't have any outside variables to account for. Before bed, I used the bathroom. I opened the door wide and tied a string around the handle. I laced the other end around the towel holder on the wall and fixed it to a jingle bell from our Christmas tree. I made sure that every window in the house was shut tight, and I double-checked to be sure that the lights were off. I woke up that night in terror to the sound of a jingling bell and a door that wouldn't quite latch. A few years had passed, and I basically found a way to write off what had happened. Perhaps a draft from somewhere in the house, maybe air from some partially open vent, but certainly not a ghost. Soon enough, I was in high school, and 2 more neighborhood residents had claimed my house was haunted. Not by a murder victim, though, but by a suicide victim. I was perplexed this time, so I went to the local library. I couldn't come up with much to fit a timeline, but one old local newspaper article stated that someone in my specific neighborhood had in fact committed suicide in their bathroom. For all I knew, though, it was a house on one of the other 6 blocks. No specific address was listed. I couldn't jump to that conclusion. Around the time I finished high school, I came home one summer's afternoon early from work. My mom was outside in tears. My dad was home from work as well. I asked what was going on and never got a straight answer. My dad would later reveal to me that he got a call from my mother to come home, that something in the house had scared her. She never specifically claimed what, but the bathroom light had come on at some point while she was down the hall. Not much had happened since then, though. I was reminded by the situation when a dear friend of mine had visited my home for the first time a year later. She claimed she had been there before. When she was much younger, she went to her house to visit her father's best friend, a man who ended his life with a .22 caliber pistol in the first floor bathroom. The incident was a bit too much to be solely coincidental in my mind. In any case, I chose not to tell my parents. By the time my second year of college had started, my father started a new project at home, renovating the old bathroom. Project number 1 was ripping out the old tub. My father had gotten things started, but it was my job to finish it. Considering recent events, I was admittedly a bit apprehensive about the old bathroom, and being home alone to do the work made me feel worse. I got to work despite my fears on tearing away the old sealant. As I dug at the old adhesive, I felt strange. I felt like I wasn't alone, as if I was being watched. And worst of all, the lights began to flicker. My heart skipped a beat, but I knew I just had to finish the task, or I'd just have to be back at it the next day. I pushed with all my might and strained past exhaustion as the lights flickered rapidly, and for a moment I swear the door was closing. The pace of the light got more frantic as my work did, until finally, the old tub broke free from the linoleum floor. An old pistol shell rolled out from underneath and the light stopped flickering. I don't use that bathroom anymore.